Welcome to the High Voltage Light Electric Vehicle channel. This video is some ride footage from my new CYC Photon motor. I'm going to do a bit more thorough a video with my thoughts and everything, but I wanted to do a fair bit more riding first. I also want to find a way to get some stats and speeds on here. I might be able to angle the phone that you've got up on there, the phone that you've got up there on the right, so that the app display is visible. But for now, I'm just going to describe what's going on, and I'm going to leave all the footage on here, so feel free to jump about, because I think it's about 40 minutes long. It's only just getting into spring here, so my plan here was to ride from pretty much the lowest point in the city all the way to the highest point, and it didn't quite come to fruition because there was a sheet of ice which the tyres on this bike won't handle when I got to the off-road section that I wanted to do. For this ride, the outside temperatures are about 6 degrees C and it's nice and sunny, and this entire ride was done on pedal assist level 3. The first thing to note is the sound, and I was actually quite surprised when I played the video back because I could hear the motor working away, but when I was riding with the wind noise and with my helmet on, I could barely hear anything at all, and people certainly could not hear me approaching from behind them, and that was definitely not the case with the X1 motor. This thing is really very quiet. This video here, it follows the first section that we're on now. It follows a route that I've done in the past with my other bikes, so it might be a little bit familiar to some of you, and it's going to allow me to compare this video with some other videos that I've done with my BBS HD and with my CYC X1. Like I say, this is a pretty long video, so don't feel like you have to watch all of it. I've done my best with the sound, so hopefully it's not going to be too terrible. And if you've got questions about any of it, please let me know in the questions and the comments. Put it on Discord and I'll do my best to answer them and get you the information in a future video. I had the phone app open the whole time during this ride, so I was able to see the kind of power that the motor was delivering as well as the internal temperatures. It's set, I think, 750 watts on power level 3 that I've got it on at the moment. I only used the pedal assist for this. I didn't use the throttle at all, and I didn't really do any change of the settings, so this is just literally running it stock and seeing what it can do. So this is coming down the hill here. I have actually been down this hill at 80 kilometers an hour on the fat bike, but I was easily getting up to about sort of between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour on the bike here without any real effort. What I really like on it is the torque sensor. Like, it's really smooth to engage. Seems to be plenty of power when you want to engage it. Really like the instant torque resume with it. Like, you put your foot on the pedal and the power's right there, and that's something that you do tend to get with the cadence sensors, that it can be a little bit difficult to get going once you've stopped on a hill. You kind of got to muscle it, but this, you just push down the pedal and off you go. Really smooth. So this is coming in through the back of the hospital. Zip round this car, and the power there, as soon as you put your feet down and like start spinning the pedals, off you go. It's really great. I can't complain with that at all. So temperature wise, it's pretty cool still outside, so I would expect it to get warmer in the summer, but it was sitting around the sort of 30 to 40 C mark, centigrade, at this point. But really all I've been doing is going downhill here. So we're coming up to a cycle route which takes you all the way from the lower part of town up to some of the upper suburb areas. So it's about a 5 or 6 kilometers of steady climbing, and I've done it lots of times with the BBS HD, lots of times with the CYC X1 as well. And the BBS HD, you can hold 50 kilometers an hour all the way up to the top, and with the CYC, I should say that's a modified BBS HD, not a stock one. and with the CYC at 72 volts I was able to go at about 60 kilometers an hour all the way up to the top of this, although not on this path section because that would be kind of dangerous. So this is like a multi-use shared pathway. It's really nice to go riding up and down this. So it was about 40 C in the internal motor temperatures at this point. So what I was finding with the gears is I have a 10 speaker set in the back, and I think I have a 38 tooth up at the front, and I was finding that I was getting about 30 kilometers an hour going up this hill. That wasn't in one of the very big sprockets at the back, so I'm not sure if that's maybe putting a bit too much strain on things. But I did notice as I was going up this hill, the temperature in the motor does climb steadily. So about halfway up this hill, I was reaching sort of the 50 degree mark on the motor. But I kind of didn't really want to back it off and go down to, you know, a lower gear. So that was with about sort of averaging 750 watts of consistent effort going in from the motor. So I could have done two things. I could have dropped the gear down a bit, and then I would have been going, you know, sort of about 25 kilometers an hour up the hill. But I didn't really want to do that, so I left it in, I think it was 20 T at the back, maybe it was an 18 T, and just carried going on straight up the hill. And it did gradually start to build up more heat. So by the time I come out the top of this hill, it was about 60 degrees C. I don't actually know what the thresholds or anything are for this motor, whether it's or I should say I don't know at what point it starts to throttle power, but it certainly didn't seem to be bothered by it in the slightest, and I noticed no power throttling by the controller at all. It's really nice and nimble though, going around these bends with the torque assist. I really enjoy using the torque assist. I haven't touched the throttle at all. I didn't even feel like touching the throttle. It's a really nice bike to ride. It feels really stable, and yeah, I'm quite impressed with it. So I let these people know that I was coming through. They had no idea that I was coming on the bike. You really can't hear this thing at all. Yeah, like this lady had no idea that I came past at all. There's plenty of room, didn't even notice me. Like it really is very quiet. I think I'll do a bit more testing on this particular hill, and do some temperature testing with using the throttle all the way from the bottom to the top, because I think that'll be a nice test. Because yeah, on a 6-degree day, using the full 750 or the highest level of pedal assist going, the internal temperature was just over 60 degrees C. Coming out to this point, and then there's a little flat section coming up now, before it starts to climb again. And these are all about sort of between 8 to 10% grades on these hills, so it's reasonably steep stuff. Yeah, we skip ahead here. So during this period, from the top of that hill there to where it starts to kind of go up again, it was probably dropped maybe 10 degrees. I think it was sitting at about 53 centigrade there. This stuff here is all it's all brand new. It looks kind of dirty still at the minute because they haven't cleaned it yet, but this is a whole new section that they've put in to try and encourage people to use bikes to get from the downtown core up to the suburbs up top. I do like how quickly you are able to accelerate with the power of the pedal assist on this. It's very smooth. Later on in the video, after this climb, there's actually a section where I sort of decided to see how fast I could actually push it, to see if it would, you know, sort of mix with traffic on the flat. I don't think this will mix with traffic going uphill. Like, it just doesn't have the grunt to send it up like the modified BBS HD or like the X1 would get you up to those kinds of speeds uphill. Because on this hill with the BBS HD and the CYC, you're doing 50-60 kilometers an hour like pretty easily, and that's on like, you know, 8 to 10% grades. This will sit though, well, it will sit at 30 in the gearing that I'm using, but it does gradually build heat in the motor. So on a hotter day, it's going to be interesting to see how much heat gets built up, because already just after this bit we're already back up to, I think it was about 60 C on the internal temperature here. But like I didn't want to dawdle at like 20 kilometers an hour, you know, with the cadence on the pedals. I wanted to be, you know, going on at a reasonable clip. I don't know, maybe I'm being unreasonable. I mean, this is definitely, I think, very much a PAS bike, aimed at that area of the market. But it, like, performance-wise, it's good. I mean, I think, yeah, I'm going about 30 kilometers an hour up a hill, and I'm enjoying riding it. And if I was on like a regular push bike, I'd probably be dead by now. But it does gradually build temperature within the motor core. I'll have to ask CYC what the threshold is for throttling, and how hot the motor, you know, gets before it starts trying to reduce power, because there must be something on there to stop it. The idea with this though, really, for me, is to regain some fitness, which I've lost by just riding throttle the whole time with my BBS HD and CYC bike. So gradually what I'd like to do is get to the point where I can knock it down a level and use just pedal assist 2, and you can actually see on the display on the phone, you can see how much effort you're putting in to the bike. So at the moment I'm not putting that much effort into it, I'm just using all the pedal assist power. But if I can drop it so, you know, I'm down to 500 watts and then 350 watts, then I'll have regained some fitness by doing it. Normally here I would be riding further over on the road, but the city has not cleaned up the cycle lane yet, and that's what all that debris and crap is in there. So they'll come around hopefully reasonably soon with the brush machines and get that all cleared up. So yeah, I mean, it still feels great, but it is still gradually building heat on a not particularly warm day outside. So if you think this is kind of like it's not really comparable to the bigger motors. This is kind of, I think, more comparable to, you know, you already have a nice bike and you just want to add a motor to it, and you want the kind of feel that you would get off, you know, one of the, you know, the 750 watt bikes that have like a pre-built motor in them. But then some of those bikes cost about $8,000, so like, it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm really enjoying riding this bike. Like, it is a pleasure to ride it. But I also want to let you guys know, you know, you have to be realistic in terms of what to expect from it as well. So we're coming up to the top area now where it flattens out a little bit, and this was a route that I used to do to get to work every day pretty much for quite a long period of time. This was actually, coming up to this point here was when the magnet let fly on on the CYC X1 the first time. Yeah, that was quite interesting. But yeah, so it flattens out a bit here. This is kind of like sort of upper housing estate. I mean, you can see, I mean, that guy was going well above 60. Like, now I'm on the flat. You can get it up to, I think I'm over 40 here. It's pretty easy to get it up to about 50 with not that much effort if you get into the smaller gears on the bike. And you can keep, I was watching, there's a cadence reading on the phone as well, so I was keeping a steady cadence of between 90 and 100, which I think is a nice cadence for fitness. People can comment on that if they want. You can see, if you look in the distance, you can see this is the last of the snow. So this is in a part of town called Upper Sahali, and then up on the hills there is a part called Aberdeen, and they have the very last of the snow, because we had a pretty late winter here, and it seemed pretty much every time that I was ready to go riding or wanted to go off for a decent ride, it was like it would dump a whole load of snow everywhere, which is not the greatest. We are now firmly into spring though. It was like 17 degrees today, which is great. So I'm going to get out and we'll do the climb up to the highest point. Because that'll be a good test for this bike as well, because a lot of the riding that I want to do with it is going to be on gravel roads and going on some long distance gravel runs of about 100 kilometers or more. And I think so far from what I've seen, this battery is going to do it, because after I got back from this ride, this is a 52 volt 25 amp hour pack, and when I got back from the ride, I started off on 56.6 volts, and when I got back it was on 54 volts, and it was a 30 kilometer ride in total. So I'm pretty sure that I will be able to keep up with the guys doing regular like gravel riding, like the ones that are actually fit enough to ride a bike, unlike me. I'll be able to keep up with them, you know, using a bit lower power, match their speeds, and have a good time with them. Because for quite a lot of this, the later parts, I was, you know, kind of giving it as much as I could go to see how fast I could go on it, really. So coming down here, bit of a hill, it's pretty easy to get it over 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know what settings it's on in terms of speed restrictions, because I thought these things were going out restricted for North American speeds, but it didn't seem to be. Like I was going, you know, like well over 50 on parts of this, and there was no, it wasn't cutting out power. Like I could pedal as hard as I wanted, and it would keep pushing the bike forward, which I don't mind. But I think there are things within the app that will let you limit that and let you just have a strictly road legal bike for wherever it is that you're riding at. So as we're coming around the corner here, sort of over to the right is where I'm roughly heading, and it's where there is the tallest part of Kamloops, which is a place called Kenna Cartwright Park, and they have all the radio masts and stuff for the town there. And the idea of this run was to get all the way up to the top of there, because it's got a really awesome view, and it's also going to be a good test of the bike. Temperature wise, coming down that hill, it kind of fell off of its peak of about 72 degrees C it got to at the very top, and it has dropped down to some extent, and it's sitting around 60 C coming through this part here. But I haven't exactly backed off with the pedaling either. I'm trying to keep it going as quick as possible. So we're going at about 40 kilometers an hour through here at the moment. Yeah, he's supposed to be going at 50 kilometers an hour, but they're not. I must admit, it is kind of strange being passed by people again on a bicycle, because I didn't have that with the CYC and the BBS HD. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, it was fine for this ride. People were generally very respectful. It's not like I'm dawdling along at like 15 either. I mean, 40 kilometers an hour is fairly reasonable, I think. So if you notice on this part, as soon as you come off the flat and start hitting a hill, you've got to shift the gears down, which automatically, like with the cadence, it kind of limits how fast you can go. I mean, if I was like Chris Froome or something like that, I could probably like up the cadence to like 140 or something ridiculous like that, and like keep going as fast as I was on the flat. And you know, but I can't do that. So you know, I just keep my cadence going and drop the gears down. So you can get about 30 going up the hills, and then you can pick up again once you go over the top. I wish I'd angled the phone back now, because I think it might have been possible for people to have read the display. I'm certainly going to have an experiment with that. So I did feel fairly comfortable with the power that it had to move out into this part of the road, ready to take the left turn.
Down to 57C after that last little bit. Again, this is on.
If people are wondering what camera I'm using, it's the Insta360R, and the stabilization on this thing is pretty amazing, because I've got it strapped on top of the top tube on a mount, which just pointing forwards, and you can see the vibration on the bars, but the view itself, the picture's not moving at all. The way they get it to lock the horizon out is pretty amazing. Alright, so this is getting to the bottom of a place I really like called Kenna Cartwright. And this is just sort of the very small part at the bottom, the foothill, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't anticipate that this elevation would still be completely full of snow. I mean, it's mostly gone from around. It's just because people have been walking over the paths, it's all got compacted down into ice, and I don't have studs or anything on this. I just have the gravel tires, and it's not gonna cut it over there. So anyway, I skipped out on that and came back down, and then I decided to see kind of how fast, like if I gave it everything with the pedaling on the top power, like how fast could I get this to go. So coming down here, I was getting well over 50 kilometers an hour. I am wondering actually if maybe I took the wrong option on the chainring. We'll see. I might go for the slightly bigger one, because I think on the flat you could get some pretty high speeds. I think you could be able to sustain about sort of 60 to 70 on the flat. Uphill, I think if you try to use Like the smaller gears, I think you'd overheat it really fast, but on the flat I think you get up to some really high speeds. Definitely downhill. I wasn't really using the bigger gears on the back, just because the cadence would have been, you know, I'd have been doing around 15 kilometers an hour with the bike, rather than the 30 that I was able to do. So I think there's a 50T, or it might be a 48T. So I'll see how it goes, and I might think about replacing that. So this last little bit, actually get to ride a bit more with more traffic, so you can see how it does. This is mostly descending through town. So I mean, obviously it's not as fast as the other bikes that I've got, but you can get it up there. I mean, these people in the trucks and that are going well above the speed limits. So if they were actually you know, doing the speed limit, I would be matching them for speed reasonably easily with this. I mean, I'm certainly going fast enough down here to like not have anybody really feel the need to come like piling past me, which is nice. It's very quick on the takeoff. Like once you put your feet on it and start pedaling, like it takes off quick. Right, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. If you made it this far in the video, thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for all the channel members for supporting the work that we do here. It's really much appreciated. I'm going to do a much more thorough breakdown of this bike, on what it can do, stuff with the throttle, try the different power levels, go through the settings, everything like that. This is just kind of give everyone a quick taste as to what it sounds like, what it feels like, all that kind of thing. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments or leave them on Discord, and if you want me to try particular things, by all means let me know. But yeah, I had an awesome time with this, even though I couldn't get up to the top of the mountain. So yeah, I will leave it here, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.